in the site, but they are designed to close security loopholes, which always exist. And like I said, hackers are relentless looking for ways to compromise your site. Another thing, plugins and themes. Make sure your plugins and themes are from a reputable company and have many users and great comments. We use Thrive themes here, and we only use plugins that are highly reputable. And we run into this all the time. People have, we're reviewing a site and they have 40 or 50 plugins that aren't updated or activated and just clogging up their website and pretty much waving a big flag to the hackers. Hey, come on, get me. I'm right here. I'm waiting for you. Now, another thing is hosting. If you get super cheap hosting, a lot of times, you're just on your own. So before you pick hosting, you might want to ask them, do you fix, the generic term would be malware issues for you if something happens? And some will, some won't. Some will sell you a big package to do it if you need it. Some will call it managed hosting. So you have to look in deeper. I mean, I think we have a whole episode on hosting on one of these episodes. Now, whenever possible, you want to add what's called two-factor authentication. This sometimes a thing called a cPanel. If you have one of those for your website, it makes it easier for non-techie people to do stuff on your website. I think it was invented by techies who got sick of fielding calls for easy stuff. But anyway, whenever you can you use two-factor authentication. And what that means is somebody even had your user ID and password, they still couldn't get into your site unless they had access to your telephone number and your smartphone. You can't log in without it. So that's an extra layer of security. And also protect your own darn computer. And you think, well, what's that got to do with my website? Well, it has a lot to do with your website, because if you don't have antivirus software up to date and effective firewall, then some of the viruses are intended to steal your login details and send them to somebody else, or just grab them and use them themselves. And then they have a thing called a keylogger. Now, we actually use this when I have a lot of employees. I use a keylogger to make sure they're doing their work. And I tell them, don't do anything personal on this computer that I gave you, because everything, user IDs, passwords, everything are going to get sent to me. So that kind of keeps employees a little bit, it doesn't really anymore because they can just go on their cell phone, but it makes sure that you can see that they're actually working if they're remote. But also, bad people use this stuff. In fact, if somebody had access to your computer at work, it wouldn't take, 15 seconds to add a physical keylogger in the wiring to your computer, and now they're grabbing everything that you got and recording it, and then they come in a day later or a couple days later, take the thing off out of the wires, and then boom, they got all your stuff. So these are things you want to protect your computer too. Now, if you've happened to have any custom code, and I've got to tell you, I can't think of one instance in the 27 years I've been online that I've had custom code written. But anyway, custom code, well, if you say, I'm going to get something, my website to do something cool, and I'll get this somebody from some foreign country to write the code for me. Well, you just might be paying for them to sneak into your computer, and you probably can't evaluate the code yourself. So if you do get custom code for some reason, make sure you send it through a security company or something and ask them to check it for you before you install it, or let it be installed, because you're just asking for trouble. Now, a lot of people say, well, gee, who's going to hack me? I just got a informational site up there, whatever. Well, even if your site is small, you're not safe. I mean, you would think no one would want to bother hacking you. But as the late comedian John Panette used to say, oh, nay, nay. All right. See, so let's say a hacker has a list of 1,000 sites his malicious bot has identified as being unsecure. He snuck into 1,000 sites. He could use those 1,000 sites to do what's called a distributed denial of service attack. That's DDoS on a larger site. And this is where you flood the larger site with traffic, which essentially crashes it. So it's like